Well, this overnight aerial attack situation is continuing in a pattern which we've seen for much of the past 2.5 years. Ukraine and Russia both claiming that the other country flew drones over their territory and that they repelled some of those attacks. Now, according to Ukraine's air defense unit, they shot down one Russian missile and 10 of 12 Russian drones. But we're also hearing about a number of casualties overnight here in Ukraine. So 3 people reported killed by a strike in the southeastern Zaporizhia region in the village of Hulia-Pole, which is really near the front line there. Also, 2 people reported killed in the southern city of Odessa and elsewhere in the country as well. We're hearing of other people being injured. So these deadly nighttime attacks carrying on as the fighting grinds on as well in eastern Ukraine. You know, we're hearing claims by Russia that they've managed to retake territory there in this very, very slow and ongoing artillery war. But yeah, it's still very intense for the people living along those frontline areas and in cities across Ukraine.
And Catherine, a big development on Saturday, 206 people involved in a prisoner swap. What more do we know about that?
This was the second prisoner swap in 2 days, so quite significant. The latest one saw 103 Ukrainians being released from Russian captivity, military personnel, border guards, police, some of them officers, some of them people who'd been captured by the Russians while making that last stand in Mariupol and the Azovstal factory. I'm sure our viewers will remember. They've been released in exchange for 103 Russians. So this is the latest step. It was in a prisoner exchange brokered by the United Arab Emirates. They've brokered such deals before. President Zelensky has hailed this, saying that this was a positive step for the people of Ukraine. And an official that we contacted said that it was Ukraine's incursion into the Russian region of Kursk, which had allowed them to gain some negotiating leverage for these prisoner exchanges, saying that it showed the value of that surprise incursion where around a month ago, if you remember, Ukraine managed to penetrate around 30 kilometers into Russian territory. Now, the Russians said they've launched a counteroffensive trying to take some villages back there. The Ukrainians say they're pushing that back. Very difficult to access that area, of course, but it remains one of the most intense areas of fighting on the front lines. And Zelensky saying it's proved useful not only in terms of these prisoner exchanges, but in terms of slowing that grinding offensive elsewhere in Ukraine, especially in the east, especially in the Donbass.